Updated March 30, 2018, 6 hours 50 minutes and 52 seconds. It is a crisp June morning in London and Tim Paine, Australia's thoughtful and increasingly popular captain, leads his team onto the perfectly manicured Lord's outfield for the first test of the 2019 Ashes series. England has won the toss, although only after a brief delay when skipper Joe Root reached for a coin and remembered that, under strict International Cricket Council (ICC) guidelines, cricket pants no longer have pockets. In the packed crowd, the cheers for England opener Alastair Cook in his farewell series and his stoic young partner Haseeb Hameed are drowned out by the cacophony of boos and taunts for the Australians. The English had their chance to demonstrate their schadenfreude about Australia's humiliation during the one-day internationals of June 2018, a series during which the triumphalism over the brilliant feats of England star Ben Stokes and the incessant cheers for the Australians left sports' moral compass spinning uncontrollably. But as the Barmy Army bellows the first of a series of predictable ditties, Mr. Sandpaperman, bring me a ball, make it the swingiest ball of all, it is clear the past 12 months has not diminished England's appetite for Aussie baiting. Shuffling somewhat sheepishly near the rear of the Australian pack is Steve Smith, the celebration of his return to the Test lineup overwhelmed by the taunts from the crowd. Smith's selection for the Ashes tour was controversial. But the former captain's contrition has not merely been the work of public relations experts, but that of a man genuinely chastened by his own misdeeds. Eschewing the tearful 60 Minutes style tell-all interviews, Smith instead retreated to the nets, took out his frustration on Sydney's first-grade bowlers and returned to the fold a more mature, and a more rounded individual. There has also been some welcome context. After Australia's shame in South Africa, 2 subsequent ball tampering incidents in Test matches, punished by the ICC's new mandatory 3-match suspension, forced even the hanging judges to consider that Smith had, by his own hand, suffered enormous financial and reputational damage. So too Cameron Bancroft's, whose first-class season was destroyed by self-doubts that left his mind addled at the crease and his prospects of a Test return bleak. Watching the first Test at home on a TV recently purchased at local discount store as David Warner, whose long legal fight against Cricket Australia's sanctions remains before the courts. Warner has found life as a bat for hire on the potentially lucrative T20 circuit more difficult than he envisaged, particularly given his endorsement deals disappeared faster than a piece of sandpaper down a ball tamperer's undies after his 12-month ban was imposed. It turned out that, unlike other members of the game's Foreign Legion, there was some behavior not even the cynical ringmasters of the T20 circuses would forgive. You can humiliate a female TV interviewer with your sexist banter, and still command a 7-figure Indian Premier League contract. But woe betide anyone who conspires to scuff up the precious six-stitcher. Without Smith and Warner, the summer of 2018-19 had been predictably challenging for the Australians. The crowds for the Test series against India and Sri Lanka fell away. Even as an Australian team fighting a constant battle against its own attacking instincts while under intense scrutiny put up a decent show. Knowing he was playing against a team with its hands tied, Virat Kohli and his Indian tourists barked and attacked the Australians, hoping to gain a response that would betray their supposed behavioural improvement as a mere facade. Yet the Australians found, even to their own surprise, they could play reasonable cricket with the stump mic turned up. Mitch Starc, Patrick Cummins and Josh Hazlewood let the ball do the talking. Matt Renshaw had a breakout season, while the emergence of brilliant all-rounder Marcus Stoinis and some typically wet Sydney weather ensured the India series was, against most expectations, drawn 1-1. This competitive result was considered, in part, a testament to the influence of new coach Chris Rogers, who was parachuted into the role prematurely after Darren Lehmann's realisation he could not oversee both the decline and the restoration of the Australian team's culture. So the Australians had travelled to England for the Ashes with both hope and, given the hostile crowds they encountered from the time they passed through customs, some trepidation. Observing from the commentary boxes at Lord's are Michael Vaughan and Michael Atherton. Both former England skippers consider the jeering of the crowd, furrow their brows and opine that the Australians are reaping what they have sown. As is now customary, the Australian expert commentators bite down on their tongues until they bleed. Even now, it is too soon for any Australian to publicly remind Vaughan that his ball polisher had a pocket full of Murray mints or Atherton of his own ball-tampering transgressions for fear of being seen to deflect the shame. Hook takes block and Starc steams in. The first ball is full, curves, quite naturally, catches the edge of a groping bat and flies over second slip. Stark takes an extra step down the wicket, suddenly checks himself and, against